So it affects the eyes, the kidneys, your nerves, your feet. We'll go back over that so that you take it seriously, and more importantly, you know what to do in the situation of a medical emergency. Ladies, thanks for joining me once again.
Thank you for having us.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw you bobbing up and down to the music. Is that what you guys do at Ridge?
That and a lot more.
Right. Okay. So we want to wrap up, and many people are saying, "Well, we've done 3 weeks of this. This must be serious stuff, right?"
Yeah.
Diabetes is serious stuff. Okay. Yeah. The focus of this year's celebration is the role of the nurse in diabetes management and care. We'll hit on that, but we want people to understand the serious complications that can ensue when you have uncontrolled or poorly managed blood sugar. Right.
Yes.
So we've defined diabetes. Right. Basically, what it is that, well, you take in food and there's sugar in it in the form or broken down to glucose, which your body needs.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Yes.
But your body also needs insulin to break down this or open the doors to the cells for your body's cells to be able to use the glucose. Right? And the two types, whichever way we look at it, whichever type of diabetes we're talking about, your body is unable to do this, and therefore you have high levels of glucose or blood sugar.
Right.
Have I done well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've passed. I hope my listeners, you've passed.
You have.
But we will go back, if we have to, into some of the basics, the type 1, type 2. But I want us to look at these complications. Okay, so I'll start with you, Dr. Cecilia Kutin Samuel. You know, a lot of people hear about amputations, right? How does it get there, right? These foot-related complications of diabetes.
Thanks, Nortey. Thanks for having us, and good afternoon to all your listeners. And so amputation is one of the complications of diabetes. Whether it's type 1 or type 2, you could get that. So how does it come about? There's a complex, of issues that makes somebody's feet prone to amputation. So usually you may have nerve issues and you may have vessel issues, and then there's an infection, and altogether the amputation may come about.
Okay.
So let me start with how the nerves get involved.
Right.
So you have your nerves is, as we said last week, it's what makes you differentiate between what is cold, what is hot, what is painful, what is not painful, and all that. If you have an involvement of your nerves, as a result of diabetes, then it becomes very difficult for you to differentiate between what is painful, what is not painful, and things like that. So you may step on something, which is a needle or something. Some people have come to the hospital with actually a nail in their feet, and they didn't know that they had it.
They're not aware.
They are not aware because the nerve that will tell you that this is painful is affected. So it cannot give you that warning that you've stepped on something that may hurt you. So because of that, you've had a little injury there, and you don't know that you've had it. The other thing is because the blood sugar is high, it's a very good medium for germs to proliferate or to multiply.
Okay.
When it happens, they are eating into your tissues. And again, for healing to occur, you need blood to flow to that area, which will carry the oxygen and all the nutrients that place needs.
Okay.
The blood vessels are also affected in diabetes. So the blood flow is also poor. So what will help with healing is also bad. And so all these complexes come together, will let the wound become bigger and bigger and bigger until at a point where if we don't take off that bad area, you will never heal. And so it will keep going up and up and up until it probably kills you off.
Right.
So that's why we need to probably go and take it off and allow the place that is healthier to heal. Otherwise, you may never heal. So that is how an amputation may come about in a person who's got diabetes. Right.
So when you take off the affected parts, it's really management.
Yes.
The person is still diabetic.
Yes.
Right. A lot of people think, well, okay, I'll agree to amputation because my understanding is that after that I'll be fine. You're still diabetic and you still need your blood sugar managed.
Absolutely.
Properly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Even for that part to heal, without the blood sugar be managed for it to come down, it will never heal.
Okay.
Exactly. So you need that blood sugar to be controlled even when you're getting the amputation so that the better parts would also heal.
Okay.
So without that, you will not get healed.
Great. If you just joined us, it's Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by Nature. I'm in the studio with the doctors from Ridge Hospital, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Doctors Fishin and Kutin Samuel. Right, I'll cut it short like that, right? But when it comes to diabetes, they're the ones I should be talking to. Now, let me ask this. May sound silly to some, but we hear of the foot, feet, legs being amputated. We never heard of, in relation to diabetes, that an arm or a finger has gone. Why is that the case? Or am I wrong in thinking that?
Yes, so good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to join you in the studio today. Try to make everything very simple.
Right.
Yes, so commonly, as you said, your foot or feet are more affected than the arms. It doesn't mean that your arm cannot be amputated.
Okay.
Obviously, whatever problem goes on in the leg or foot or feet will also go on in the hand or arm.
Okay.
But then, as you know, we tend to work more on our feet than, we don't work on our hands. We use our hands as well. But then the feet is more at risk because we tend to move around more and it's more likely to get injured. But of course, as she said, when you have a prick, so in the nails or the hands, fingers, is more of sometimes when people are trying to take off, let's say for the women, when they are trying to get acrylic done, they may get scratches around their fingers, and so that's why it's advocated that if even you want to do that, use your own things. And then also introduce infection, and then once that happens, because of the possible poor blood supply, healing doesn't go on properly, and eventually you might need to remove the affected area so that it can heal. Because if it doesn't heal, the infection continues and it begins to spread and will make you continuously ill. And eventually, if you get sepsis or generalized infection, it can kill you.
Right. If you have any questions, concerns, WhatsApp is 055 1111 997. 055 1111 997. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. This is Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. We're concluding our series on diabetes, management and complications. If you have any questions, concerns, experiences, I've got the right people in the studio, so you can deal directly with them either by phone, WhatsApp, and we'll get it done. All right. So you can have unhealing or slow healing sores on any part of your body, right?
Definitely.
Typically, it tends to be in the lower extremities or your legs or your feet, but it can be anywhere else for the same reasons.
For the same reasons,
right. Last week we learned also that diabetes affects the eyes, and indeed, when we looked at some of the symptoms, blurred vision and some compromised vision was one of the signs and symptoms. Why does this happen? What does it do to the eyes? How does it do it? Should I start with you, Hetty? My mom's namesake.
Yes, so basically, as we said earlier on, most of the complications or the problems that arise as a result of poor glucose control is usually silent. And so that is why we'll not wait for the problems to set in. As we are managing the patient or individual, you want to get their glucose controlled as quickly as possible, because the changes go on for a long time. For most patients who have type 2 diabetes, which is commoner generally, by the time you make diagnosis, they already have some changes going on in the body, because they would have been in a certain stage we call pre-diabetes, where the changes are going on and we don't pick it until they become fully diabetic. And so once the sugar is not poorly controlled, the high glucose in the circulation becomes toxic to the cells, to the blood vessels. And it's key, particularly the organs which are usually commonly affected are your eyes, your kidneys, your nerves. They are very sensitive to changes in glucose blood supply and all that. So usually you may not have you may not notice much, but most people will suddenly start having blurred vision. They think that they can't read properly or they can't see.
My phone is too small.
Yes.
Right. It's a
but
screen.
We are not saying that all blurred vision is from diabetes, because some people generally just have what we call refractive errors. Where glasses will help you to see. So once it starts as a blurred vision, we believe that you need to go to the clinic for you to have their doctor examine your eyes fully. And it's not only about just reading a chart to see whether you can read the first line, second line.
It goes beyond the regular eye test.
Yes, it's part of it, but for it to be total, you usually put drops in your eye, you sit, then your eyes become bigger, or should I say dilated. Then the doctor sits behind, the nurses also do it, they sit behind the slit lamp, and then they'll look at the back of your eye. And so usually what happens is that when the blood supply is not very good, your body, always has a way of trying to cope, trying to adapt. So you have new blood vessels trying to form, But these vessels are not too strong. They are weaker than the original ones, so they tend to bleed easily.
Right.
So sometimes when you have blurred vision, it may even be the first sign that probably there's a little bit of bleeding going on behind your eye.
Okay.
And then eventually
so that examination is crucial, actually.
Yes, it's crucial.
To determine what is going on.
It routinely. It's required.
Okay.
Even once you are diagnosed the very first time, your eyes has to be checked. And subsequently, your ophthalmologist or the diabetic nurse can tell you that come back in 6 months, in 3 months, there's nothing wrong, come back in a year. Or we think there are some changes, interventions are made, come back in 6 months and let's check.
Okay.
So we don't want you to get to that stage.
Right.
As soon as diagnosis is made, we'll do a total thorough examination.
All right.
So that we can manage it.
Okay. I strain a lot these days. I think I'm more dependent on my glasses, and I guess there are people listening to us, but it'll be worth checking it out, right?
Yes, and bear in mind too that, as you grow, just like different parts of your body changes, your eyes will also change. So
the way you're looking at me and telling me as you grow.
Sorry.
All right, so we're aging, but we want to age gracefully.
Right.
And if we can avoid problems, we avoid them. That's why we're doing what we're doing on Ultimate Health Joy 99.7.
Yes.
We're talking about the complications of diabetes. Whether big or small, a complication is something you want to avoid, if not prevent.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's why we're doing this. 14th November was World Diabetes Day, but we've dedicated on Ultimate Health 3 weeks. This is the last week. So if you have any questions, concerns, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll take all the questions and we'll try to address all the complicated, big, long name complications with my doctors in the studio. So when this is managed, will you get a reversal of the damage? Will you get your vision back? It's a big question I like asking. I mean, because you're saying after pre-diabetes and you enter into conclusive diagnosed diabetes, some of these things may have started already. So if the doctors detect it and they intervene, is it likely that you will see an improvement in your vision, or is it too late?
So it depends on the stage at which you are diagnosed of having the eye changes. I must say that sometimes the immediate or the initial stage when you diagnose you, because of very high blood glucose, may not necessarily be because the diabetes has affected the eye. But because of the high glucose, the glucose may have deposited in your lens, which has attracted water. So, in school, we taught us something about osmosis. We said water will move from a place of low concentration to high concentration. When you got a lot of sugar in the eye, you get water moving into the lens. And so that changes alone can cause blurred vision. Which, the moment we manage that high blood glucose, will settle.
So that one is transient.
That is very good. You use the perfect word.
Right.
So
it can go.
That can settle quickly.
Right.
But when you have the changes occurring at the back of your eye, the place we call the retina, which Dr. Fisher spoke about, it depends on what stage we catch you. So that's why we say at the time of diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, everybody should get an eye screen. We don't want to wait until it is where the blood vessels are formed and they are bleeding. Sometimes we cannot save the eye at that stage.
Right.
So we want to do it quickly. And then depending on the stage we are, there are some therapies you can use. Sometimes we say laser and things like that. But if it's not, it's better prevented. So again, when we treat the blood sugar, then your chances of getting the eye being affected is very low. But if it's affected also and we catch it at the very early stage, with the control of the blood sugar, it may reverse. But we don't want to wait until it's too late. So, it's a yes and a no answer.
Right. Okay. Right. I've got a question here on my screen. Oh, it's jumped just when I'm trying to get to it. You are the people who spoil and mess up my eyes. Right. It says, good afternoon. My name is Nana. How or where do I have the test done? I guess she wants to know her sugar situation. Hi, my mom is diabetic and she keeps getting burning sensations on her leg. What causes that and how can it be managed? This is from Isaac. Isaac, thanks for sharing. So burning sensations, well, this one in the lower extremities, her legs, right? Yes. What causes that?
So basically, the burning sensation most likely will be from what we call the diabetic neuropathy. My colleagues,
the nerves.
She talked about irritation of the nerves as a result of the high glucose concentration. So it's an early sign. It's a warning sign that there's something going on. And basically, most of these challenges or problems, if we target and bring down the glucose down quickly. I mean, without being a danger to the patient, because although we want to bring it down, you don't want the person to have low sugar, which may later on, or if unfortunately may kill the patient. So it's a warning sign that your nerves are irritated. And so it's multi-approach. What we want to do is to bring down your glucose and at the same time give you medications that will help to bring down the irritation and the discomfort.
Right, Isaac. So I'm hoping that your mother is under some treatment and management, but if in doubt, approach the facility again and get some clarity on these. The ladies I have in the studio at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, but I was going to ask this last week. I mean, we hear of endocrinologists and all these diabetologists and specialists in the area. How many specialists are there, and when does a person really need to be seeing or being seen by a specialist? Because you can go to a regular hospital, a regular clinic, they know what diabetes is, they can manage it to a certain level. But when I listen to you guys, it looks like, hey, if you need Messi, you need Messi, not some Colts player somewhere. When should you be seeing a specialist, a diabetologist or an endocrinologist? Or it doesn't get to that level?
No, so every you can see that every general physician is, I think, well trained to be able to manage the basics of diabetes. So normally, at the beginning, it's all right to see your doctor in the polyclinic, in the health facility. Even sometimes we have trained nurses who can help. But then it is usually their decision on who needs a physician or who needs a specialist diabetologist or who needs an endocrinologist. It's usually when it becomes more complicated that they cannot handle at the peripheral sites, that you get referred to the diabetologist or the endocrinologist or, all those big words that we are using. But every general practice, people can handle the diabetes, but they can be able to tell that, no, this is a complicated diabetes, this is a simple diabetes, and this one needs a physician's care, this one needs a diabetologist care. So usually that call will be made by the peripheral doctor, and then they'll refer you.
They should refer you.
They should.
So what if you're listening to us now and you really you got some of these complications, but you're still being managed where you're being managed? Should you ask the doctor you're seeing that, excuse me, are you an endocrinologist or a diabetologist? Should you ask?
We really have got just a handful of endocrinologists and
so it's better not asking.
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't ask, but if you've got a facility where you've got an eye specialist, for example, or you've got an eye nurse, they can actually screen your eye even at the time you're diagnosed.
That would be an ophthalmic nurse. Ophthalmic nurse.
Ophthalmic nurse can screen. If there's no eye challenge at the point, they can say come back in a year. So that's okay. But when they screen and there's a challenge, then they refer you to a place where there's an ophthalmologist or an eye specialist who can see. So it depends on what they find at the time they diagnose you. So normally, I think every doctor or every person you see there is well trained enough to know what they can handle and what they cannot handle. All right, but if you think that you're not getting better there, you can always ask that, do you mind if I see somebody else? That's all right.
Great. Second opinion is not a fight. But we can do it nicely so that we don't lose the medical history and the information. You run away from one person, you go somewhere else, and we're asking you questions and you can't tell us what you've been on, how you've been treated. Great stuff. It's about 29 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. This is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living. We're trying to wrap up with difficulty because there's a lot to talk about on diabetes with my doctors Fishin and Kutin Sanwo from the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. If you have any questions or concerns, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. And shortly I will activate those phone lines so you can get in directly. Yes. In the UK, they'll call it NHS Direct, right? But we've got them here. No waiting, nothing. Direct. You get them and you can talk to them and ask them questions. Right. This one says, I'm a diabetic who is on metformin and glibenil. The last time I checked was last week, Tuesday, and it was 14.3. That's fasting sugar. Currently, and this is on medication, I'm having a hard, excruciating boil under my armpit. I went to the facility and I was given flucloxacillin. Flucloxacillin, right? Sounds like an antibiotic. But the pain is still there. What should I do? And can I What should I and can I do to prevent any problem with my eye? This is from Kofi in Japon, or it's Kofi whose surname is Japon, or both.
Yes.
Right.
So basically, what Kofi has is that it looks most probably his sugars are poorly controlled, and once your sugars are poorly controlled, you tend to get more infections. So now he has a boil in the armpit, as he's saying.
Doc, can I just take you back a bit,
Yes.
because I want my listeners and Kofi to understand. He's on medication. He's confirmed. He's been diagnosed. His fasting blood sugar is 14.3, whilst on the metformin and the glibenin nil.
So
Is that not something
the two
significant?
medications are anti-diabetic medications.
Right.
Diabetes is such that most often you may start with one or two medications. You may need to step up the doses of the medications until you can get the sugar at the level which is normal.
Right.
Mostly we'll go for probably around 6, but it's not across board for everyone, because you have elderly patients who may have had probably a stroke before and everything. So the targets are sort of targeted toward the individual.
Okay.
So for his fasting sugar to be 14, it just tells us that his sugar is poorly controlled.
Right.
And so as such, he's beginning to get infections. We don't, although he's having pain, excruciating pain, and he's on antibiotics, it probably means that the boil needs to be, sometimes you form an abscess.
Right.
It means that it's something like a bigger boil, and the
fluid.
whole skin is hard and swollen.
Okay.
And so the doctor needs to have a look at it again, because you need to probably incise and then drain the fluid out if it's formed an abscess.
Okay.
And then his
has to be done by a professional.
By a professional. He's
Qualified.
not just going to stand
You don't
in
just
front of
put
his mirror and
puncture it and then
Because if you don't
squeeze.
do it well, infection spreads further, and then it will be more trouble for us to handle.
Right.
So he needs to go back to the hospital. His medications has to be stepped up or changed. Eventually, some people may need to be on insulin after you've had diabetes for a couple of years.
Okay.
Just to get the glucose to the normal level.
Right.
And when that is achieved, it reduces the risk of you getting some of these infections.
Good.
So he has to go back to see his doctor.
Kofi, please go back and have it checked. Yes.
And especially when you've got an infection.
Yeah.
It makes you more likely to need insulin, because when that's also a stress state,
right?
And so then you need more insulin at that state.
Okay.
So again, if he goes and the doctor says, "I'll give you insulin," it may be just for the short period when he has the infection, and then when things get back to normal,
right,
he may go back to his oral. So he shouldn't resist when he goes.
Don't resist when they're trying to help you, right? They are God's angels on earth. Okay, they're doing God's work. They're getting things sorted out for you. But thanks for sharing this, Kofi, and I'm sure many of you have learned from what Kofi shared. WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. You can share yours, and then my doctors can expand on the explanation. Then we all benefit. All right. But he also asked further, how can he prevent the progression to eye damage? Okay, I get from what he shared that maybe he doesn't have significant difficulties with his vision, but listening to us, he's asking, can he prevent that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So what I want to say to Kofi, as we are discussing now, is to have his eyes checked. The most critical thing, or the most important thing now, quickly, as soon as possible, is to bring down his glucose level.
Okay.
And so as my colleague was saying, depending on what it is, I mean, it's 14, but maybe he may need insulin for a short while, or probably be on insulin for the next, for a while. Okay. So once that is done, the next target is for him to have his eyes checked. Okay. For either your nurse or the doctor to tell you that, maybe come back in a year or come back in 6 months. We didn't find any changes at all. But what we've seen that most people, when their sugar goes up, invariably, they tend to get blurred vision for a short while, as Dr. Kutin said earlier on, because the sugar draws the water into your lens and it becomes swollen, then you have a blurred vision. So the blurred vision may be temporary when your sugar is high, but the moment the glucose begins to go down, then your vision improves once there's no retinopathy or permanent changes.
Great.
Even if there's some change or distraction, there are medications to halt the process. You may not be able to reverse it entirely, but you can save the other areas so that your vision doesn't worsen.
Okay, great stuff. So I hope we've sorted you out. This one says, this is from Samuel K. and it doesn't say where. Nortey, there's this misconception that eating sugar causes diabetes, whereas the vast majority of people go around today eating junk foods, fatty meats, alcohol, and the most exposure factors. Can your panelists reinforce the exposure factors, the risk factors? Okay, we did that last week. We'll get back to that in a sec. Samuel, we want to complete the complications, if I can say that. Right, it's a mouthful, but yeah, I'm intent on doing that today. We'll come back to risk factors. And last week there was this back and forth about whether obesity and weight is an issue, but it was type related, and it's also not hard and fast. Okay, you can be obese and not have type 2, and you can have type 2 and not have obesity or not be obese. Okay, right. This one says, can the readings on the home use glucometer be significant in suspecting the presence of diabetes? Also, can lumbar spondylosis cause the burning sensation in the soles of your feet if your home glucometer gives you a good blood sugar reading of an average of 5.6? I wear glasses too. Vision is blurred when the glasses are off. This is from Na in Osu. This is a whole buffet question or contribution, right? So she's asking about whether we can use the home the glucometers, right, to predict or to screen for diabetes, and also she's looking at the relationship between the burning sensation in your feet and lumbar spondylosis.
So the home glucometer is usually used for people who are already diagnosed diabetic. Okay. So you can use it to monitor. Right. When we have to make a diagnosis, we need to do a proper fasting blood glucose or an OGTT, something from the lab. Okay. Because there may be small differences. Right. All right. But it's good when you're already diagnosed diabetic and you're monitoring it. So that's good. Fine. Now the lumbar spondylosis and you can have lumbar spondylosis and have burning because again it affects your nerves. It's the same nerves. Okay. So the nerves can be affected not only by diabetes but by so many other things. Right. But if you are diabetic, or even by both. Or by both. Right. Yes. So if you are diabetic, you may have diabetes affecting your nerves, or you may have another thing complicating the nerve issue. So if you have lumbar spondylosis, you may have it. Right. The burning sensation as well, but it is not. It's not yours to decide which one is causing it. Okay. So it's better for you to talk to your healthcare practitioner so that they can work with you and decide that, oh, maybe this is just from the spondylosis or it's not. All right. But sometimes it's difficult to tell which one is causing what. Okay. Again, so we still need to do a good blood glucose control, and then we'll control your spondylosis as well. Great. Then we can get you a whole health. Okay, all of a sudden it is 2:38, but we're still working, right? We're still working, doing great stuff on Ultimate Health, Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by nature. My guests are from the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Cecilia Kutin-Sanwo and Dr. Henrietta Fission. Both of you are senior physicians? Yes. Yep. And endocrinologists? Yes. Are you both diabetologists? Yes. Oh, how painful. How can you carry all that around and look so nice? Anyway, right, they're here on your behalf. Shortly, I will activate the phone line so that you can speak to them directly, but we're trying to tie up on diabetes. Let me just come back to Na's thing. She says an average measurement of 5.6. Okay. That looks pretty okay. Oh? Yes, that looks good. Right? Okay, right. So your pink sheet is not bad. But what the other thing I want to say to Na is that sometimes she's only looking at her fasting blood sugar. Right. Now we are talking about time in range. So we want to see the whole day, how often you are within the range of the blood glucose. So it's not just about fasting blood sugar, but it's about after you have eaten, what is happening as well. Take the random as well. Absolutely. Okay. So we need not just your fasting, but your random. So occasionally, now should check her random blood glucose as well. Great. So that we know whether she's in range or she's not. Now change the polling station small. And then the other thing, she needs to go to hospital so that every 2 to 3 months we do what's the HbA1c. Okay. Which is an average of your blood glucose within 2 to 3 months. So it's not just your so now needs a little more than. Trying to be comfortable with the. Don't just measure in your stronghold. Go to other police stations. Absolutely. Yes. Right, great stuff. Good afternoon, Nortey. Managing your sugar intake is. Wait, hang on. Managing your sugar intake is the only prevention of diabetes, or once
it's in your genes. No matter what, you'll get it. Ajiman Joseph cry. This is inside our question. So he's trying to see whether you can manage your diet and maybe lifestyle issues, or if you have, if there's genetic transmission, then if you have the genetic factors, then still you'll get it. That's what he's asking. Ajiman Joseph, Community 9.
So really in type 2 diabetes especially, there's also the genetic predisposition. But it's not automatic that maybe, let's say your father had diabetes, you have 2 other siblings who have diabetes. You're also at risk of getting type 2 diabetes.
Right.
But the thing about it is that you may probably delay the onset of this type 2 diabetes. Or if you are fortunate enough, you may never develop it at all. So it's not just the glucose control or just watching your diet. It's an entire thing. So the other things that we want to talk about, the risk factors, such as exercising as well, and not leading sedentary lifestyles, cutting out the other things like the smoking, alcohol.
All right, I'll give you a breather to do those risk factors. I'm trying to clear my WhatsApp console. Please, is diabetes curable? Mr. Donko from ACP Pokwasi. Last week we said it emphatically. Once you are conclusively diagnosed, doctors,
manage it.
It's not curable, but we can keep it under control. You manage
diabetes is managed. Managed. When we say we are managing something, then it's not something we can eliminate. We're learning how to live with it and live comfortably and safely with it. So Mr. Donko, I hope that answers you. I've got this from David Grips. I want to know the end product of my bowl of fufu every day. And how does that link to diabetes? So basically, how is fufu broken down? And does it contribute to glucose or anything? Because he says he adds to the fufu every day.
Your end product of your fufu every day depends on the size of your fufu. That's one. So somebody may eat just a handful of fufu. Somebody may eat a whole bowl of fufu. So your size matters, right? But again, the whole fufu is carbohydrate. So when you break it down, you get glucose. It doesn't mean that when you eat fufu, when you break down that carbohydrate, you get glucose.
All right.
And glucose is what we're talking about. But it doesn't mean that if you eat fufu every day, you would get diabetes. It's a complex of issues. You eat fufu, somebody eats fufu, goes to play football, somebody eats fufu, sits down at one place, somebody has got genetic predisposition. So it's not a direct, and it's not only fufu. Yam is carbohydrate. So many other things, cocoyam, all those things. So people kind of tend to say that, fufu is not good, but every carbohydrate is carbohydrate, and you tend to break it down to the same glucose. So it depends on the amount you are eating at the time and how active you are after you have eaten that bowl of fufu.
All right.
So it's more complex.
Great. David Grips, you want to grip your fufu. Have your fufu and eat it, but a whole lot of combinations and factors will come in as to whether your body is responding to insulin, whether you are producing it or not, your lifestyle and all that, plus the size and quality of your fufu. Right? I said that, not the doctors, okay? So think about that. Think about that. Okay. Hi, doc. I am exposed to phone. Exposed to phone during lockdown. Now I can't see well when reading on the projector. Any help? I'm wondering whether you're using your phone more because of lockdown or because of the restrictions.
So it probably sounds like he's had to spend a lot of time on his phone, and that's a lot of concentration. Your eyes
focus and strain.
Focusing and straining your eyes. So he needs to have his eyes checked out, but he needs to cut down the amount of time he spends glancing at the phone, because then you're straining your eyes.
And don't blame it only on the phone.
Maybe something else.
More than that.
Okay, great answer. Good afternoon, Nortey and doctors. Though I have no question or contribution, I'm always ready and happy to learn one or two things from this program. Thanks, Nortey, for always educating me. Linda in Osu. Charlie, Linda, we have to do some lunch, but we won't do fufu, right? I'll see if I can catch up with you somewhere. Maybe we had 1 or 2 doctors as well, so that whilst we are indulging, they can guide us and we stay safe. Right, shortly I'm going to activate the phone. In fact, can I do that now? Yes, I can. 0302-216-541. Studio line 0302-216-541. You can speak directly to the lovely ladies. In fact, the Isaac in Japan says, can I have the numbers of these lovely panelists? Isaac, I'll sell. All right. But they are the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. That's what I can release for now. Maybe if I tickle them in the right places, they might share. Right. Can I please have, another one? Goodness, can I please have yours and the doctor's numbers, please? I have a lot of personal questions and fears. Good afternoon. Okay, you're even afraid to add your name. All right, I got your number. We'll see if we can get to you. 0302 216 Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Okie dokie. Ooh, Dede is awake. Does varicose spider veins or do varicose and spider veins have similar symptoms of diabetes and neuropathy? Does diabetes cause cramps, as in Ananu, or is that Anansi?
Anansi.
Right? Dede, you are not gone, but you. All right. So she's asking about varicose veins and similarity of symptoms with diabetes, and then of course neuropathy. Right? There's diabetic neuropathy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So can we answer Dede in Maryland?
So they did mention numbness and diabetes, cramps and diabetes. So that can be from your nerves. So you can get the cramps and the diabetes. Sometimes beyond the diabetes, you may have other things like your calcium or something that may give you cramps in your legs. Okay. But diabetes can cause all that as well.
Right.
But then varicose veins is not directly related to the diabetes.
Okay.
And when you get varicose veins, some people it just means that the veins on the skin they're enlarged. And so you see blood exactly. It may not give you any symptoms at all.
Right.
And sometimes it may predispose you to, because it's so dilated, the flow is not very good. So it may let you clot.
Right.
But that may not give you any symptoms at all. And usually it doesn't.
But the clots can be serious.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But usually if it's superficial.
Should your veins do that normally?
Superficial, it shouldn't do that normally. So the problem is that there are valves, what we call valves in the vein, means that it allows blood to flow in a single direction.
One direction.
When the valve is not working properly, then you get backflow.
Okay.
So they kind of stay. Called stasis.
Right.
But that usually is not related directly to diabetes.
Okie dokie. Somebody wants me to slow down and give out the phone number 055 11 11 997. I have a caller on the line. Okie dokie. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, NN.
Right, which is naughty by nature.
Right. By nature, you know.
Not naughty by nature. Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, my name is Kweku.
Pardon?
Kweku.
Kweku, share with us quickly.
Yes, my mom has been eating a lot of bread. Any advice? And she's plus 60 years. I keep asking her to reduce the intake because I know this can cause serious health issues for her. But she still doesn't budge. She keeps telling me that doctor and family.
So your mom eats a lot of bread?
Yes.
What type of bread?
Tea bread.
Tea bread, okay.
Yeah.
And you've been warning her to slow down?
Yeah, also doctor and family. And I don't know what she means by that.
Okay, right. We'll put it to the VAR here in the studio. Right, bread. Take a lot of bread.
Tea bread, or let me put it, white bread generally has a high glycemic index, meaning that when you finish eating it, the amount of glucose that will be released into your blood
after it's broken down.
After it's broken down, is quite high.
Okay.
And generally, when we talk about trying to prevent diabetes, it's not just preventing diabetes, but it's a healthy lifestyle for all people.
Okay.
Every individual.
Right.
Especially as you grow, because as you grow, then your body is not functioning the way it should properly. So when she eats lots of white bread, the amount of glucose she exposes to her body is high.
Right.
And if her body is not able to handle that glucose very well, then she predisposes herself to developing diabetes.
Okay.
So we advise that you cut down on the amount of bread, even if you want to eat it once a while. Most people eat breakfast they have cereal or they have a porridge. So 1 or 2 slices of bread, brown bread preferably. But even if you want to take the white bread,
slice there, you're getting sophisticated though. We break bread, eh? We break bread.
So we eat tea bread.
We break bread. We don't slice it.
The whole
and
loaf
a
is
civilized
like
slice.
Civilized slice. In Ghana. All right. Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Right. Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, this is Frimpong calling from Teshi.
Right, Frimpong, share with us.
Yes, I'm also diagnosed diabetic, and but I realized that my random readings are always better than my fasting blood, and I really don't seem to understand because normally 2 hours after eating, when I check, I normally get something around 5.6, at most 6.
Okay.
But in the mornings when I check, I normally get about 7.5, 7.8. And meanwhile, I'm on medication.
Right, Frimpong, when do you eat your last meal?
By 5, 6, I should finish eating. But
Okay.
but I normally have maybe some tea around 7, 8 before I go to sleep.
Okie dokie. Right, docs, there's discrepancy between his random and his fasting, right? When he's not eating overnight, he gets a higher number than when he's eating and he's taking random measurements. What could explain that?
Okay, so there are many things. Usually,
Okay, I have another caller. Let me quickly take that person. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nortey. How's your doing well?
Right, is this Ajiman Joseph?
Yes, I was.
Okay, give us your puzzle for this week.
I want to sound a bit controversial today. I haven't heard any.
Ajiman, you are a radio person, so lower the volume on your set. I know you love hearing yourself, so that we won't get the feedback, okay?
Left there.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I haven't heard any doctor prescribing any herbal medicine that can cure any particular sickness. And I bet this diabetes thing that they are saying that is incurable. For all you know, there's a certain herbal medicine somewhere we can cure it. So my question is, why then can't we have doctors and herbalists relationship so that if there's a certain sickness that can be cured by the doctor, they can
Right.
transfer it to the herbalist?
Okay, you just want to be controversial. Firstly, herbal medicine is recognized by our ministry, right? There's a whole department of the ministry, okay? And doctors and plant medicine is well advanced in this country, all right? And then you say for all you know, which means you do not know. Okay, so we are speaking to what we know, but let me hand it over to the doctors as well. Why don't you prescribe herbal medicine? And why do you insist it is not curable? There's a caller on the line? Nope. Okay.
Wait.
All right. Let me just quickly take this caller. Hello. Oops. Over the bar. Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Your name, please.
This is Frimpong again from Teshit. I didn't hear the response to my question before the line dropped.
Yes, we took another call, so we'll come back to yours as well. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So you haven't answered.
Not fully. Okay. So we're coming back to that.
Very well.
Okay. So Frimpong was asking about the discrepancy between his random and his fasting.
Okay.
Right.
So sometimes, your random sugar depends mainly on what you're eating.
Okay.
And the medicine. Some medicines will work more for when you're finished eating.
Okay.
Some may work on the fasting. So again, it depends on what medications you're taking.
All right.
The other thing is sometimes you may get a low sugar at dawn, say around 3 a.m., 2 a.m. Your body has a way of mobilizing sugar, so your liver will mobilize some sugar for you, and in the morning you will go high. So sometimes when you have seen the highs in the morning, it's not because it's really high, but it's because you're probably going low in the night.
Going low and your body is
compensating in the morning.
Right.
So all this needs to be investigated for us to be sure why is that.
Okay.
So when it's like that, then maybe we want to reduce how much medication we are giving in the evening, so that you don't get the low in the first place and get the high as a rebound.
Right. Great.
So there are many reasons.
Okay.
Why
Can we quickly take the herbal one? I have a long WhatsApp to read. So yeah.
Yes. So I must say that when it comes to herbal medications, I mean, most of the medicines that we are taking or we are using actually comes from plants. And we know there's a lot of research going on by bodies like CSR and MAPON research. So we are not saying that herbal medications are not useful. We know there's a lot of research going on. There's a lot of data collection, and eventually this is going to be made public such that the two bodies will sit and look at how to balance the two. But until that is done, what I do not have a lot of information on, I mean, I'm not licensed to go ahead and prescribe those ones. We are not saying that herbal medications.
But we have GAFTRAM and all those, Ghana Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioners and all that. Yeah.
Yes, but he, 2 weeks ago I did a talk on Unique FM, and it was the same question. Some people don't understand why, in quotes, we doing the traditional or the regular medicine will not prescribe herbal medications. And I'm saying that what we have been trained in, or what we have evidence, and what we know is what we are doing. And until we can get all that information to say that use this amount, do this or do that, then we are not licensed to do that.
Thank you. And you're not able, under your license, also to make unsubstantiated claims.
Absolutely. We work with the evidence.
So
if there's evidence.
So when you say metformin does this, it's been well and empirically demonstrated. Okay, Ajiman. This one says, good afternoon. My name is Nana Sapong. I have controlled diabetes type 2. I'm in range in both fasting and after food. I see a dietitian as well. My last visit, the doctor said I am fine. This was in June before my second surgery, but I haven't had my eyes dilated. Can I come and see Dr. Kutin? I had bilateral hip surgery. The second one went very well, no problems. The first one affected my perineal nerve, and I had a foot drop. I have recovered from the foot drop, but the nerve in my foot is uncomfortable. What do I do? The orthopedics are where? Right. Can he come and see you, to cut a long story short?
Actually, she can. It
All right.
sounds like somebody I
It's
really
a
know.
Nana Sapong. I don't know whether it's male or female. Right.
Sounds like somebody I really know.
Okay. So they can come.
She can come
Right.
anytime.
Okay. When you get to Ridge, just scream, Cecilia. Okay. We're running out of time, but
And
I
for
wanted
most nerve injuries as well. Physiotherapy will help. I mean, it helps to improve function.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So I'm sure his orthopedic surgeon has recommended that as well.
Okie dokie. This one says, hello, please. My mom has been diagnosed as diabetic and a sugar level of 7.5. She was put on metformin daily. She's been off for 4 days now and the sugar level is 5.5. What should she do? She has sleepless nights too. I fear. So why she stopped the medication? What do you have to say quickly to that?
I think she needs to, but until the doctor tells you that stop, you don't stop. That's the first thing I would say.
Right.
So she needs to come to us. Sometimes when you start getting low sugars, it's because your kidney is involved. So your kidney now, and there's a paradox. We say that, once the kidney got involved, then the sugars got better.
Right.
But it's not necessarily so. It's because there's so much the insulin around, your kidney cannot handle it, can't break it down.
Okay.
It lingers in the blood for a really long time. You start getting low sugars, and then they stop their medication, they are still seeing normal ones. So it's not as simple as she stopped her medication and
so it needs to be checked out.
She needs to be checked out.
Great. Simple. Well, not so simple, but short. Okay, short. Please, is green tea good for diabetes? Please, I am AC. AC wants to know. Fast. When you see the sports guys breathing down my neck.
See, I'm not sure what green tea you are taking. I'm not sure what's in that green tea.
Okay.
So I
can't
can't comment on that.
All right. Okay, we can't comment. Okay, top official refuses to comment. I have a friend who was diagnosed with earlier stage diabetes in Ghana. He decided to go herbal all out. Unfortunately, he got worse and died. Educate yourself before resorting to alternate treatments. This is from Dede in Maryland. Thank you, Dede. Love you to bits.
Thank you.
Right. Hello, Nortey. Please, does it mean that if you are diabetic, you must avoid carbohydrate foods completely? This is from Akofa in Shire Hills.
No, we are not saying that avoid them totally, but what we are saying is that cut down on the carbohydrates.
Okay.
Because it's the amount or the
management.
quantity that you take in and the type of carbohydrate that is what affects your glucose level. So, for example, I would say it would be better to eat kenke compared to yam. I'm not saying that don't eat yam, but of course, my glycemic index, or the amount of glucose that will be in your blood after eating when you take
So I can Google these foods and Google glycemic index, and it will tell me.
So glycemic index basically means that when you eat the food, how much glucose is going to be in your blood
After
level.
it's broken.
Yes.
Okay.
So most foods, unfortunately, if you go to the shop, those are the foreign foods. But our local foods, that's quite a number of them have good glycemic index.
Right. That
Things
we should
like
be taking
green
more of.
plantain, yes, kenke, whole wheat foods and things like that.
Okay. Right. Okay. All too soon we're out of time. I had hoped we'd talked about hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, and diabetic coma. I will find ways and means of addressing that or putting it on our page. But many thanks to you, lovely ladies, Dr. Cecilia Kutin-Sanwo. When you get to rate, call her name, and Henrietta Fission. If they are not there, tell me. I'll scream that it didn't come to work. But they are endocrinologists, senior physician specialists at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. They've been helping us alongside the team. We've had about 6 of them so far. Thank you so much. We hope we've informed and transformed people, but we'll get back to those ones we couldn't do. Many thanks to you, my discerning listeners. If we didn't fully answer your questions, we'll try and package it so that we don't become a diabetes program, but we'll get it done. Up next, the sports team. They are. This guy looks like he's on insulin, right? But it's my time to leave the station and the studio. Many thanks to Abeku Kofi and my discerning listeners. They can stay on Joy 99.7 FM. Obviously, there's something happening. Has Oli won again? Last time I heard they were top of the league, and a certain professor friend of mine was singing Oli that day, Oli Rosalinda, and he even added Oli Special Prosecutor. Let me get out of here before I get into trouble. Many thanks for sticking with us on Joy 99.7 FM. The sports team is up. I can see George Addo, who controls our Joy FM choir as well. I can't believe it. Can this guy know any music at all? But I heard them. They were awesome. Sports next. My name is Nortey by nature. I'm out.
Referee whistles. Keita! It's a goal! Naby Keita has put the goal. A lovely drive, beautiful goal. Great goal by
Run over, loops the ball into the area.